Wonderful.
Hi, Mark Anthony Lord. Can you believe we're into December already?
We are coming on to the completion of a year of this, and
And what a year it's been.
yeah, what a year it's been. And I was thinking about this over the past week, as you know, coming up to this, thinking, gosh, I'm so grateful. Selfishly, selfishly, I'm grateful for the opportunity to work with you and to just have this conversation. Like it's not our business where it goes.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But I do hear often because this is recorded. So if you're joining us and you found us on YouTube, we do this live. So we would welcome you to join us on this and the other webinars and drop-in groups on sexandrelationshiphealing.com. But, I really appreciate that we have this vast opportunity for people to connect and get something, even if it's 2 o'clock in the morning, they can connect to something that's meaningful, for them. So the webinars, the podcasts have all been really valuable. And I hear that often from people. I've had, I don't know if it was because of Thanksgiving, I had so many people reach out and say, thank you, thank you, thank you for the resources. I'm so grateful. And it's really been so meaningful and helped me and supported me. And so I appreciate you taking time, every month to join us, and this particular series trot us through the spirituality and the 12 steps.
yeah, and it's the conversation I love to have. I can't believe I'm always in a little bit of awe of this, and I hope I always remain in awe of this
Yes.
idea that this guy, me, who threw God out and wanted nothing to do with spirituality. In fact, when I attended my first 12-step meetings, I was like, oh my God, let me just get what I need and get out of here. Stop talking about God. Like I was the most resistant. So to be here today, leading conversations is a miracle.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Can totally relate.
Yeah. So, all right. Shall we dive in?
Yes.
All right. So, welcome everybody again. My name is Mark Anthony Lord. I am a minister. I am a spiritual counselor, and I do recovery coaching, specifically focused on helping people discover the spiritual side of the program, how to live more fully inside of it, and whatever the meaning is for themselves. And also, a lot of people are in need of, like I referenced earlier, support in moving through releasing some of the old constructs about God, about what is spirituality, so that something new and living and supportive can happen inside of your program. So I just feel very grateful to be able to do that. Today, we're focused on the 12th step, which is a great one to bring the year to a close with. And it's all about the spirituality. You don't need to be on the 12th step. Just so you know, like we haven't been moving people through a particular system. I've just been using that to teach from. So if you're brand new to being here or brand new to program, welcome. This room you belong in. And I'm certain there'll be something here for you. So we'll begin with some meditation. I always like to do that with about 6 to 8 minutes of just breathing and being together, followed by the Serenity Prayer, and then move into a little bit of a teaching on the spirituality of the 12th step. And then we always welcome after that any of your feedback, your thoughts, your questions, be they related to the information of the 12th step, or if something else is happening in your life that is taking precedence and is feeling very important to you. We also want to avail ourselves to support you in where you are. So anything else before we meditate?
No, I think let's get started.
All right, let's do that. All right, so I always like to begin with my feet on the floor. That's possible for you to do, not necessary. And I also turn my hands up in my lap. And for me, that represents receptivity, that I'm open to just be in this moment and in this experience. Following that, I lift my chin up slightly, so opening up the heart center so that opens up for vulnerability and connection. And then finally, closing my eyes, taking my attention off of the external world. And with my breath, bringing my focus inward. It's always good to just keep the attention on the breath, feeling the sensation of it coming in. Allow yourself to take deeper breaths in this moment, feeling the full expansion. And then on the exhale, imagine your whole body, mind, and emotions letting go. So do a couple rounds of that on your own, taking some nice, slow, deep, expansive breaths, exhaling, relaxing, and letting go. We'll do a couple rounds of that. And now join me in breathing in this simple truth, which is I am here now. Focus your mind on those words, repeating that statement over and over with your breath. I am here now, breathing in. I am here now, exhaling. And that will help release what happened before this moment, release what's to come after this moment, and really get present. I am here now. Allow relaxation to continue to go deeper as you keep your attention on I am here now. And now join me into moving into the next statement, which is my higher power is here now. My higher power is here now. Breathe that in, breathe that out. And the final focus will be I surrender to my higher power. I surrender to my higher power. Breathing this in, breathing this out. looping them together. I am here now. My higher power is here now. I surrender to my higher power. And it's these intentions upon which we begin our meeting together, our time together, bringing this meditation to a close. Let us do so with the Serenity Prayer. Say that out loud with me. Say that in your mind, or enjoy me simply saying, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. All right. So today's focus, thank you for doing that, everybody. Today's focus is, again, on the 12th step, which says, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we bring our, oh, no, I forgot the last part. That's so bad of me. Let me look it up. Or do you have the second part? I always blank. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we bring this message to others. We try to carry this message
to others and practice these principles in all our affairs,
all
depending which program you go to. So yeah, affairs is not used in S groups. So
exactly, activity.
Yeah.
Activities. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to bring this message to other addicts and to practice these principles in all of our activities. And I can genuinely tell you, very humbly and appreciatively, that I've had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps. It's nothing that people brag about in the rooms. It's not like you win a I'm awakened badge or something like that. But there's just a way of living it. And that's what I want to talk about today, because it's like, how do you know you've had a spiritual awakening? I mean, you can't see it as something, but you know it by the results of what this is, and you know it by how your life is changing. So that's really what I want to really point to is some of the ways that you begin to change that we will call spiritual awakening. So there's a little bit more feet on the ground understanding of what that means. And so in no particular order, some of the things that I wrote down in thinking about this is, number one, the awareness of the presence of my higher power is exponentially greater. And even when I'm not consciously thinking about it, I'm never in doubt. I really don't have doubt that my higher power is within me, around me, always available. Like I'm absolutely freed from that uncertainty. And that really does include everything. It really does. I'm amazed myself, from, I think we talked about last time, the flat tire on the side of the road, getting myself into a financial situation. I mean, life still happens. But when life happens, or when things come my way unexpectedly, that big old bill that comes in that it wasn't expecting, who knows, something breaks down, something happens to the body, life, things that happen, including also times of feeling triggered or feeling on wobbly ground in relationship to recovery. What does it mean today? All of those things that can happen sometimes. I never doubt the presence of my higher power. And that is an enormous gift. The more that I cultivate my relationship with my higher power, the more connected I feel. But even that can ebb and flow at times. There are times that I'm, full in conversation a lot. There are times that I'm just coasting a little bit through life and not in as conscious connection. But again, never am I without. And anywhere I find myself, I can just be like, my higher power's here. My higher power's here. And that knowing, I think, is one of the gifts of this thing called spiritual awakening. The next piece that comes out of that, knowing that I'm never without my higher power, knowing that this presence, this love, whatever you call it, is always working for me in my favor, I experience less angst in life. I don't experience the, oh my God, how's this going to work out? Well, I might have a little bit of it, but a much bigger piece of it is it's going to work out. This is going to work. There'll be a solution. This doesn't feel great. I might eat some humble pie. I don't know. but the awareness of my higher power's presence gives me the added benefit of really knowing that I guess I would say all is well here. All is well, not in the feeling tone of me in the moment, not in the, I mean, all is well means at the core of whatever's happening, there's a solution. It's going to be worked out. I'm going to come out the other end better, more connected, more whatever it is. I really have that knowing because my higher power is always here. All is well here. And again, I'm not talking about perfection here. I want to say that a lot of times. This isn't like absolute, now you have spiritual awakening because you don't waver, but the wavering is less. And when I do waver, which I do, when I waver in, oh, all is well here, what I have in my back pocket are lots of wonderful friends from the program, spiritual brothers and sisters, either from the program or other paths in my life that I can call and I can share and I can have someone know for me all is well here, right? Sometimes we can't know it for ourselves because what's happening is bigger. It's bigger than our current state of mind and experience. That's when it gets scary. But that's the times when I have come to easily rely upon people who love me and believe in me and don't judge me. So the result of a spiritual awakening is people in your life that are walking the same path. That is a hands down noticeable result. Sure, you can have a spiritual awakening on a mountaintop like a monk and live in a cave and never connect with people. That's different than what we're talking about here in program. In the 12-step program, I believe the spiritual awakening is on the field in life, which means it still gets messy. It can still get confusing, but it keeps getting better and better and better. So one of the physical demonstrations of a spiritual awakening for me is other people on the path with me who I didn't even know. I didn't know these people prior to recovery. I didn't know these people. So many people who I'm comfortable praying with, talking to, sharing deeply with. That is a gift of the program because where I come from, people didn't share their true feelings. Where I come from, people kept secrets. Where I come from, everyone had their own little acting out stash. Some people were very obvious, some people were in secret. But it was a disconnected, how do I say it? Superficial way of knowing each other. It was the best my family could do. It's fine. I love them dearly. But the gift of the program and what I check off as a spiritual awakening is the relationships I have today that are so much deeper. I feel alive in these relationships. I feel seen and I feel supported. Who doesn't want that? I'll tell you who doesn't want it, the addict. The addict in you doesn't want any of those things because if you have those things, the addict doesn't have any power, right? But we're talking spiritual awakening. And it took me, and it's good to remember that in this moment because the addict was fighting throughout the journey. Whenever it became too vulnerable, or I did have to learn a new way of speaking and connecting and reaching out for help. Ooh, the addict was like, oh, you don't want to do that. No way. But every time I did, the addict never proved itself right. It never did. And the action towards spiritual connection always proved itself right. always. In fact, including, I want to share this. One time years ago, when I did reach out to someone in program, I didn't understand. I was still young, and I didn't understand the subtle yuckiness in my relationship with this guy. I didn't get it. I really didn't understand it. But I reached out with him in a very vulnerable time, and he ended up talking about it and using it against me. And it hurt horribly. Even that, in hindsight, that was such an amazing gift, because what came out of that was I was seen by a group of guys, my friends, in a more authentic way that I could never have caused myself. It's like it backfired on him, and it worked in my favor, and I didn't plan it. I'm just, what I'm trying to say is, even relationships that appear to go sideways, there's always a gift inside of that. So I'm presenting to you mindsets, ways of thinking and being in the world, and some results of it in the world. One of the benefits of a spiritual awakening from the program is an awareness of my impact. As an addict, I don't get it. And if you're new to program, or you're a co-addict, whatever the word they use here, my apologies, but partner, I can only say, for me, I was clueless on how my thoughts, my words, and my actions had impacted someone, because much of them were in secret over there. I was like, oh, if I don't tell anybody, no one will know. And so what difference would that make, right? I really believed that. That wasn't just BS. That wasn't me just kind of keeping my game going. I mean, it was, but I genuinely believed that if no one knew, what harm would it do? Spiritual awakening forced me, in the most positive way, to say that everything in secret still has an impact. It will play itself out. Even if the dots aren't connected, there's a way that the relationships, the friendships, the lovers, the spouse, whatever, there's a way that our choosing actions and behaviors outside of sobriety and recovery, they impact. That is a huge awakening in my mind. I don't like it sometimes because who doesn't want their private stash once in a while, right? But I know so much so the impact of it, and I feel the impact of it in my gut. That's a benefit. A benefit is that today I feel myself off course. Even a little bit off course feels as big as when way back in my beginning days, like where I would have a huge acting out spree and I still wouldn't feel. You know what I mean? There used to be gigantic things had to happen for me to feel bad in my gut, positively bad. Today, my emotions, my feeling body, which is my guidance system, the guidance system warns me much sooner when I'm starting to go off course, and I feel it more dramatically than ever before. That's a gigantic gift. That's huge. It really is. I know I'm giving you a lot of information, but it's just huge. It's huge. I want to move to my next one. And this one is heaven, 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 or whatever word you use. It's good, 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 which is I am worthy. I know I'm worthy to the core of my being. I'm worthy of sobriety. I'm worthy of the gifts of the program. I'm worthy of authentic relationships. I'm worthy of being seen and loved when I don't have my shit together. I'm worthy not because of what I do or don't do. I'm inherently worthy. And I no way knew that. It even brings like a little emotion to me as I talk about it, because I was so unworthy. And the addict feeds off of unworthiness, because unworthiness feels horrible. When we feel at the core of our being unworthy, the addict has a much better chance of getting its feed, getting its fix. Today, I just know, I just know I'm so loved by my higher power. As I said, I'm inherently worthy, and it doesn't have anything to do with what I do or don't do. The paradox of that is what I do and don't do is in higher and higher vibrations of love because I feel worthy. So it's like when it became fully disconnected from doing, suddenly the doing got better and easier and more loving. So this one is a huge component that I give great thanks for. And that truly, I believe, is as a result of the steps, as a result of sharing that information with brothers and sisters in the program, therapists, spiritual counselors, whoever, sharing the darkest parts that I thought for sure were horrible and people were going to hate me for, to be loved through every one of them. The byproduct for me is worthiness and connection. Connection. These are things I did not want. As an addict, I did not want to be connected because I wanted my fix. Today, I crave genuine connection. And to me, that is spiritual awakening. If you are aware of connection with other people and you feel a life-giving experience in your relationships, a sharing in that connection, that you feel more alive, that means something inside of me woke up to the truth, right? So I want to do, I think the last one I want to share on, and then I'll pass to you, Tana, because I know you've got fabulous thoughts on this too. I believe one of the noticeable byproducts of spiritual awakening is a sense of greater happiness, or peace or contentment. Some people don't use the word happy, like that may not be your natural vibe word this lifetime. I like it. I like being happy, but content, fulfilled, peaceful, whatever words may best resonate for you. For me, I am authentically more happy. And it's not fake. It doesn't require as much. In my younger days, happy required a hell of a lot of, activity and, pomp and energy and lots of stuff to, because it was all external focused. Now it's flipped over and there's just more of like a natural state of being. I still like when it gets bigger and it's fun to enjoy big laughs, dancing, having fun with friends. Those are beautiful things. But when those activities aren't occurring and I settle down into myself, it's like a gentle pulsing energy that's just here. And that is a gift of spiritual awakening. So let me take a moment and see, is there anything else I'm missing or wanting to point to? Yes, thank you. Saying thank you, my higher power. My purpose and my meaning in the world, as I even started off describing, is 1,000 times for me better than I would have ever imagined. I worked in the entertainment world. I was very blessed to have a 17-year career as a dancer and choreographer. I made a great living, but it also was a very ego-driven world. And I knew that it had an end date on it. I knew it wasn't going to be forever. I didn't know really who I was or what I was going to be, but giving my life over to my higher power led me down a path that I never in a million years would have thought to choose. And it is the most fulfilling thing of my life. It really is. Now, some people remain on the same path and their life just feels better and better and better. Other people like me are suddenly going, oh, what I used to do in the world no longer aligns with who I am today, but something new is born. I've seen it consistently. And I've seen people feel afraid in the moments of change. I get it. I get it. But still, our higher power, God, whatever you call it, if the spiritual awakening calls us to a different way of being in the world and sharing our gifts and talents, it finds you. And I think that's pretty miraculous. So those are some of my thoughts about what is spiritual awakening in the internal level and the expression of it in the world. So what are your thoughts, my friend?
I am choking up because you just so much. I was like, okay, blinking back tears, but it finds you. Absolutely. Did I think the first time I walked into a 12-step meeting that, I'd be working in this field, and I had a career, I was young when I got sober. And so it, like I had a career in business and all that. I had the opportunity to come and work in this area. It has been the most meaningful work I could imagine. The most difficult. I get caught up in the, somebody, says they want treatment and then they don't, and all of this. And like, I can take it too personally because I want people to experience what we've found, through this. And it's heartbreaking to me when people don't choose that. So I started really tearing up with I Am Worthy. I knew for sure I wasn't worthy. I knew for sure if people knew what I really was like you were talking about, like always having that facade of this is what you're presenting to the world. I grew up similarly. It's like you have to look like you're going to church and you're sitting in the pew and you're being seen, and I mean all of that kind of stuff. And that was generational. I mean, that was my grandparents. It was all of that type of thing. So it was not. So I knew that it was like you have to appear to look like, and people couldn't really see the dirty little secrets of who you really are, because then no one would like you and that would be shameful and all of that. So learning to be willing to be vulnerable and let people see who I really am and have them not, flat out reject me and go, oh yeah, you're so horrible. There's no place for you at the 12 steps. I mean, that was a game changer, meaningful for me. I put in there because you sense of greater happiness. I put some of your comments in I tried to type them correctly, so hopefully I got it. But the sense of greater happiness, like you were saying, to me, happiness is external. So I remember there was one person that I met, along the path, and he radiated joy. Like it was like it didn't matter the circumstances. He radiated joy, and that has stayed with me. And I was like, that's what I want, is joy regardless of the circumstances. I appreciate being happy and experiencing life and doing all of that, but if I can have joy regardless of what is external, that's I think what it's all about. That is because I found those spaces. The 12 step wasn't my favorite initially, but it has become. And having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, that is all we are promised. We are not promised that life is going to be easy, that it's going to be, a joyride. We are not promised that all our problems will go away. We are not even promised that we will not slip or anything else, but we will have a spiritual awakening as a result of that. And as you said, the more we are leaning into that, the more it changes our actions, the less likely we are to relapse, slip, treat people badly, do all the things that we have to make amends for, but we have a program to clean that up. COVID has been tough. I have leaned into the things that I've learned early on, but the other day I just was off the rails, and I ended up having to make an amends to both my husband and my daughter. And I was like I hate having to make amends because that means I, really flubbed up. But on the other hand, I appreciate that I'm willing to take responsibility for my actions. And I have a program that taught me how to do that so I can repair the relationship and continue to move on in a loving way, not hide from them because, oh my gosh, now they know who I really am, So all of these, like this, the gifts of the program, the gifts of a higher power, the Serenity Prayer, leaning into. Love that you start with that, because the only things I can control most of the time are my actions and reactions. Clearly, I wasn't doing such a great job the other day, and so it's, but and I can control my actions to go make the amends. But like that the world is not in my control, that I really do believe that my higher power, has my best interest at heart, even though, like since last night, I've had two work situations that are very difficult come up, and I don't know how it's all going to play out. And I just have to trust that if I do the next right thing, get input and feedback on things, that, it all works out, and all I can do is do my best and not take shame of, oh, I didn't do it good enough, right enough, whatever. It isn't. So to me, having had a spiritual awakening, and I grew up in a religious, whatever, this is completely different. When people talk about, oh, the 12 steps are religious, I'm like, no, really, I personally see it completely different. There is religion, and I think it's great, and people can find the right fits for them and everything else. But this is so personal. This is so meaningful to me, and regardless of what doctrine I would put on it, this is what I lean into. So that's a lot. Sorry, but I just had a,
Oh, it's good. That's,
yeah.
We're coming to a close here. It's such a perfect conversation, and I appreciate all your thoughts. I really do. And now this opportunity in our final minutes to just ask you all if there's something you want to. You're better at this, guiding them on how
Yeah,
to.
so people that are with us live, we have a couple of people that have put in some questions in the Q&A. Please, if you've got questions, I would invite you to put them in there. So the first person says, looking for a spirituality 12-step sponsor, if anyone is willing, preferably a female. And that's a great question. I know you do spirituality coaching and things like that, but I think that's one of those would really invite you to connect in. We've got a bunch of drop-in groups and things like that too. But I know you're doing the In the Rooms group. What night is that? Remind me.
Yeah, I do the in the rooms Sunday nights at 6 p.m. Eastern time, but that too isn't really a place for
Getting a sponsor.
sponsorship, because again, it's more
Okay.
of a teaching thing, like what I
Okay.
hear. So yeah, I know that this meeting here isn't the place really to find.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it'd be so I don't know if In the Rooms has a specific thing. I think they've got a link where you can find a sponsor. So it would be interesting to post in there and see if you can find someone who would be specifically looking to guide you around that. However, I'm going to also say that a good sponsor, I mean, if the point of the 12 steps is to have had a spiritual awakening, any good sponsor would be guiding you, on that journey as well. So that's my other thought on that.
Yeah, the steps actually do the work.
Yes.
So if you've got someone who's helping you move through those, it's great. Now, I do know some people like to have a focus on a Christian point of view around this, or a Jewish point of view around this, or something like that, or a atheistic point of view. So if there is a particular way that you want to explore it and feel more comfortable in a conversation, I do think that too could be posted in the rooms. You can literally say, I'm looking for someone who's a Christian and who's available for sponsorship.
Right.
So
They're out there. And you know what? If you don't like the first one you pick another. So like, this is not a lifelong relationship. It can be. Some people find a sponsor and that's the person they stick with. And in my home group meeting, they've been with the same person 20 plus years. Great. That was not my personal experience, and that's great too. So
yeah.
Next question. I am a woman, not an addict or anything, and I have been betrayed or used by men of the world my entire life. So I am very careful around men. I do dress appropriately. I'm well mannered and I keep my distance, but still the men which I come into contact with always want something from me. Even I only choose men I know who are believers. So I assume safer. This happens to me again. Last week I saw this person as my brother in faith and did and said few things that made me upset or angry. Can you please talk a little bit about this issue? What are your thoughts? Yeah, my first thought is like it, like as a female, yes, we need to. I always feel like I need to address appropriately and stuff too, and it shouldn't matter how we do, but I do feel like that is an issue. But it is interesting that people are honing in, and acting inappropriately. So, what are your thoughts?
My genuine thought, if I may be truly bold,
Please.
is you're in denial of your sexuality, of the way it's
Mhm.
being used. I think you've got some denial around responsibility for what you're attracting. We all attract who we are on some level. And very often we disown parts so dramatically that we don't own about ourselves. But how do we know them? Because they keep coming at us from other people. So I would say, from the observer point of view, as best as possible, take a moment and go, who am I attracting? What qualities are they? If I'm always being sexualized in a particular way and it's consistent every room I go into, it be it a church or be it a bar or be it something else, what I know is there's an opportunity for you to know yourself, not in judgment, not in shame, but I think that a shifting of your energy, a healing of your sexual energy. I don't know what it would be, an ownership of it or whatever, but I don't believe things happen to us by mistake. And I don't think, one off and go, oh my God, that person said that. Can you believe it? And you go on life. But if the patterns that we see in our lives, we must pause and go, I'm the common denominator here. So, with no judgment, like, what about me am I not seeing? What thing in me? Very often, like, for an example, I'm not saying this is you because I don't know you and we're not in conversation. So, this is just example. Very often, someone who plays very sweet and innocent, but they keep on drawing strong sexual aggression towards them, has some kind of unhealed or disowned part within them around their own sexuality. And it's out of balance. Like, it's almost like the more innocent we play, the more aggressive we attract.
Mm.
Where if we get ourselves balanced out and we become fully integrated in ourselves, I believe what you're attracting will change. Or if it doesn't change, your ability to respond to it without being a victim or being able to put a clear boundary up, even helping someone go, hey, that's not appropriate. This isn't the way I'm treated. But what I mean? There'll be a way for you to relate to it that is different, but it always begins with us.
Well, I hadn't thought. I love that lens too. But you were betrayed and used. So I'm thinking there has to be some deep wounds around that. I would invite you to work with a good trauma therapist, to do some healing on that. Because that may help, tilt things to a more even keel as well. So
Actually, I missed that part. Thank you for mentioning that. I think that
yeah.
probably is that which is attracting. It's like that thing I was betrayed, that unhealed part is what keeps it's magnetic but it's not magnetic. I've come to believe it's not magnetic to harm you. It's magnetic to say, hey, this has to be healed. Hey, this has like it's
Mhm.
calling out to you to say, here's the peace. And how do you know it's a peace? Because it keeps attracting that which you don't enjoy. My experience was being sexually abused as a child, in my teens and into my early 20s, well, through my 20s. I really believe a large part of the wounding around my sexuality was playing out from that unhealed experience. So I had to go into trauma therapy. I had to really do deep work to create a healthy relationship to that experience in my childhood. And then when I did and did over time, it was over time that occurred. My expression of my own sexuality became healthier and more in alignment with who I am.
Yeah, and while it sounds scary to go do that deep work, it is, a wound that is deep needs. If you're physically wounded, they do wound care, so and that's how we heal. Because if we don't heal that, if it just scabs over on the top, then that still is underneath and always, infected and all of that type of thing. So yes, it can be painful, but it's also the cleansing, it's the healing thing that really helps us move forward in a different way. So I would invite you to do that. So next one, I've been in a 12-step program for 70 days, yay, and came to the program with very little spiritual understanding. I would like to experience prayer authentically, but I don't connect to the word God. This is right up your alley. Any thoughts on the use of prayer for a rookie to the world of spirituality and higher power?
Um, yeah. I mean, it's fine if you don't connect to the word God. What I would want for you is over time to have a healing around the word God so that it became neutral. And then you don't choose it from reaction, or you don't push it away from reaction. That's what I always want people to understand. It's like, if you don't like the word God and there's no issue or baggage on it, then that's totally cool. But most people, myself included, didn't like the word God because I was rejecting a pain point that needed to be healed. So that would be my first observation, is that, just be open to over time. If there's any issue with the word that is from childhood or trauma, we'll use that word again, that should be healed over time. Should be isn't the right word. Um, I would hope for you that. But now, more importantly, to answer your question directly, I would really try whatever word makes you feel connected. The word love, the word higher power, the word presence. There's lots of universe. There's lots of, thing is to point to a word that feels bigger than you, something that feels like love is such a wonderful word. And people have baggage on that word for sure. But if that's a word that makes you go, oh, love is everywhere, love is shared, love expands, like you want to find a word like that, and try trading out the word, instead of using the word God, use the word love. Grant me, God grant me the love, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Like, I would do that. I would Google the 12-step prayers. I love the first, the third, and the seventh, or the Serenity Prayer, the third and the seventh, um, and use different words and see how that works for you. Play with it.
Yeah, I actually still have a Post-it note. I'm not at my desk, but one of the earlier, I would also invite you on sexandrelationshiphealing.com under resources. You'll see previously recorded webinars, and at the very bottom of that, there's more. And go there. There was one that you did probably last year, and we talked about this whole concept, so there's a video on that. Please join that. But you talked about, God is love, I am love, and I have that Post-it note stuck on my computer still, and every time I pay attention to that, I'm reminded of you, my friend, but also be reminded that, to me, my higher power, my God, is love and wants good things and love for me. And I mentioned that, people talk about the program and get all caught up in religion, and that I don't believe in a higher power. And I'm like, your addiction was your higher power. In active addiction, we are absolutely, we are at its will, at its whim, and we are not in control. So to deny that we have a higher power as addicts, to me, always cracks me up, because I'm like, no, trust me, I was single-mindedly focused
Yeah.
on this. I was, yes, so I shifted it, and now it's love and it's good things for me, not destructive, terrible for me and my relationship. So
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. I remember real quick, and I love that you said that, by the way. Oh, no, we believe in higher power.
mhm.
We get that's undeniable. But I remember someone saying, and there's been, maybe you've heard it, that's sort of a flip attitude of like, oh, well, they were addicted to this and now they're addicted to the program. And there's
Yeah.
a judgment about that. I'm always like, well, crack cocaine or 12-step program? I think I'm okay with 12-step program.
Yes, yeah, and it's not a cult. It's not, and take what you need and leave the rest, But to have the ability to live differently, I didn't. My instruction manual was lost at birth, and so to get, the 12 steps to me was, here's how you can live differently, and keeps, like I said earlier, during COVID, I am really aware of, I've had to lean into the very same things that I learned early on. So this isn't one and done. Nope, learn that, done that. And those are the people that relapse. And like you said too, it's like, I don't want to live, with my guts and churning. I want to live, with joy and serenity. And this is how I do it. Most hours of most days. Not perfectly, don't have to be, but I can continue to mostly progress 2 steps forward, and I have a step back, but mostly, continue forward. So
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful.
Somebody said, can you have more than one sponsor at a time?
My opinion on that is you can have more than one sponsor if you're working more than one program. I like to keep it on one sponsor per program, because 2 sponsors in the same program, I know for me, the addict in me is sneaky, and it will share this with this sponsor, and I'll go to I'll create a mom and dad sort of a divide inside of me, and I'll start to use them. The addict will sneak in and start to use them in ways that I can sort of still be a little sneaky. Like, I got to really pay attention to my sneakiness, because sometimes I just want to hide things for no reason. Like, you know what I mean? Like I have lied about things that are so stupid. Afterward, I've had to go, why did that even happen? What was going on that would cause me to be inauthentic in that moment in the most innocent way? So because I know that about me, I personally think it would not be helpful to toggle between 2. That's just my
Yeah, no, and even with having different program sponsors, I still think making sure that you're communicating,
uh,
because the challenge is, at the end of the day, all of the all of the addictive behaviors are still numbing out the same person, trying to fill the same void, addressing the same issues. So to me, like, if you're doing a 3-circle plan for alcohol, or you're doing it for meth, or you're doing it for sex addiction or porn, like, your inner circle, like, you shouldn't have 18 versions that you have to carry around and go, oh wait, wrong page. It's like, this is my inner circle. These are all the behaviors, all of them that are going to be problematic for me. These are going to be the warning signs across any kind of addictive behavior that I have. And these are all the healthy things that I can do that are meaningful to my world, despite whichever form of acting out behavior might be tempting in the moment. And I was talking to somebody the other day about, here's the primary addiction, but then you've got the second string, just like in the football. You've got the first football players, and then you've got the second string, and these are backup, and they'll do in a pinch, and third string if you have to, but at the end of the day, they're all trying to do the same thing. So to me, now I really do think you can outgrow a sponsor. Like, you can have somebody that really helps you early on and get you that and then you go, okay, now I'm in a different place, or their life has shifted, or whatever. So it, looking for something that is the right fit, that's going to help you for the next phase of your journey, all good. And you can still, maintain friendships and connections with, previous sponsors, but having one person that really knows you and helps you, that you are not hiding things from and splitting off from, I think is the most productive way to approach, working a program. So
yeah, that's good. That's really good. Yeah, you said something that I really appreciated, and now it.
Poof. I appreciate that you appreciate. So yeah.
Yes, yes, indeed. So, well, listen, that completes our time together. Thank you all for participating. Really, again, thank you so much, so much, Tammy, for supporting this and happening and helping to create the way for me to be here. I really appreciate
I have loved this. This series has been so meaningful. So, so for those of you that have participated live, great. For those of you that are viewing, we are grateful in any way that this has been meaningful for you. So, and do join Mark Anthony on Sunday nights on intherooms.com. And your website is what?
Well, intherooms.com, it's 6 p.m. It's called Spiritual Awakening. So it's the
Right.
same topic. I go a little more into different subjects. So that's Spiritual Awakening. And then my website is markanthonylord.me. And I'm launching some other spirituality programs coming up. So you can just go check out my site and, see if there's anything there that might support you. That would be great. I know I was going to say, Tammy, and I do want to say this, has anyone created a 3 circles workshop? Do you have that?
Oh, that's a great idea.
You need to.
So here's what we do as part of the sex and porn addiction work groups. We've got a men's group another one starts, this is December 2nd. There's one that starts yet tonight for men. And they do that as part of that. We have a women's one starting in January, and they would do that as well. But, kind of to do one across all forms of addictive behavior would be a great idea. I love that.
It is. It's a great, simple download for people. Like, it's a good little product.
Mm-hmm. Great
Marketing.
idea. Great idea. So, yeah.
Anyway, everyone, please take care of yourself during this holiday season. Holidays are always holidays often tend to be harder on us as addicts. So we have to really slow down a little bit, take care of ourselves. If meetings is your thing, see about adding an extra one a week. It's amazing what one extra one can do. It's amazing what a little extra time in prayer in the morning can do to make a difference, to really carry you through. And then, as Tammy mentioned earlier, for many of us, COVID is making the holiday experience, I'll use my word, a little lonelier and a little more sadness, because my mom is in a nursing home. We can't see her. My dad, no one's visiting him. So it's really different. And that's okay. But I've got to pay attention to taking care of myself. And I invite you to do the same.
Thank you so much. I'll look forward to seeing you in January.
Yes.
Have a great holiday season too.
You too. Peace and love, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.